I had a girlfriend who snored like that once.
I keep on thinking, put some clothes on.
Take some clothes off, yeah.
They're often, there you are with nothing on your top half.
It's funny because that's not what you DM'd me of those.
And my life completely changed after London. At 22 years old, my first games, home games, being a London girl as well. Like, I just never expected it in a million years.
Welcome to Talk Horse.
Our gallop through the highs and lows of the equestrian world.
I'm Pippa Funnell. I've been eventing for over 40 years. I've had some wonderful moments.
I'm Tristan Phipps. I still haven't got any medals. I'm still learning a lot about the equestrian world. I am probably best known for Made in Chelsea, but there's a very important other side to me. I love nature, I love all things wild, and I'm here to be the voice of the horse curious.
We'll be meeting trailblazers and icons from the equestrian world.
So whether you're a horse lover, a seasoned rider, or just horse curious like me, this is certainly the podcast for you.
Saddle up and join our equestrian community. Let's talk horse. Tristan.
Hello, Pippa.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
We had a great stand-in with Alice.
I believe so.
A lot of fun. But before we get chatting, I just want to thank everyone that's listened, followed on YouTube, listened through the podcast channels. But thanks for your support. Really hoping you're enjoying it.
Absolutely. And a lot of you have been listening because we've been hanging out in the top 10 for sports podcasts for a while now, which is unheard of for a horse podcast. So thank you very much for supporting. We really appreciate it. And as Pippa said, spread the word as far and wide as possible.
And do, as we mentioned before, please just send in some of your questions. We'll be very happy. Well, I will be. Maybe Tristan won't be able to answer them, but I'm more than happy to answer them, and any suggestions of future guests. So, Tristan, back from the jungle, but I know you're going to say bush, and I've enjoyed saying Tarzan's away.
Absolutely.
I've followed you closely. Now
we're Instagram friends.
Yeah, we're Instagram friends, and I followed you, and probably from a little bit of a fuddy-dub point of view, when I see your stories, I keep on thinking, put some clothes on.
Take some clothes off, yeah.
They're often, there you are with nothing on your top half.
It's funny because that's not what you DM'd me of those.
But it looks from the pictures as though you've had the most unbelievable time. I know you've been skiing.
Yeah.
So while you've been away skiing and then to South Africa, some of us have to keep working with our horses
stay on the horse.
The terrible weather. But tell us about your travels.
I mean, it's been the most amazing time and it's good to be back. But yeah, skiing for Christmas, New Year's, and then off to the bush, off to the jungle for a bit of pleasure and some work. I was presenting a wildlife TV show out there, so Safari Live. So I was back in my khaki uniform, in the driving seat, conducting a guide experience, but it was amazing. I mean, a beautiful experience and just lovely to reconnect with that part of the world. And I did actually ride a horse when I was out there.
Did you keep your heels down?
I did.
Did you start forming that partnership that we've been talking about? Did you climb into that horse's mind, or
I was
were you
in
just
that
trying
mind.
To stay on?
Listen, I'm going to a bit of both. Like, I definitely stayed on. It was quite a leisure ride, and I think the horse was probably quite well accustomed to less experienced riders.
I did see a clip, one of your stories, that you had a little bit of an unfortunate moment when you were driving your Jeep through what looked like to obviously be
Yeah, I got very stuck in the Kruger National Park for 5 hours in a lion sighting.
Because you drove through a river, was it?
Well, yes. We had the mother of all storms for 2 days, and I probably was being stupid. I probably shouldn't have driven that road. I was stuck in the road for 5 hours in the middle of the Kruger Park, unfenced, lions, leopards, elephants, rhinos, everything walking around.
Did you go, oh?
I went, oh, no! No, it was quite the pickle, I have to say. I ended up having to walk up the road, try and flag down the anti-poaching unit. So I was there for 5 hours. There was a lion sighting happening. It was just...
Could you not find a friendly elephant? Would he not have towed you out?
I didn't find a friendly one, no. If I'd waited a bit longer, maybe I would have had to kind of resort to that sort of thing. But
you need to learn to talk to these animals.
Exactly, yeah. I need to learn that partnership that you have with horses.
Exactly.
With elephants. And thanks for having me back. I thought I'd be ousted last time we had someone else on.
It was great talking to Alice Fox-Pitt. She's a great mate of mine, and she wasn't a substitute for you.
A bench warmer.
But we did have a long chat because
It's good for you to have the girl chat, stuff that I can't get on board with.
we did mention a few girly things, but we touched on them very, very briefly. But it was great to have her. But obviously, it's
Back.
very nice to have you back again.
you.
And I can't quite think you flew back yesterday, and you
Straight
must
in.
be thinking, oh, I've landed and I've got to go and talk horse tomorrow.
Absolutely. I've been delighted to talk horse. The weather, not so much, but the talking horse, very excited. And I'm excited to meet some fantastic guests we've got for the coming podcast. And just to clarify to the people at home, because I'm getting a lot of questions as to what I'm doing here as well. Obviously, we've got Pippa Funnell, who knows exactly what she's talking about when it comes to horses. But I'm here to be the voice of the horse curious. So bear with me. I'm still learning. This is the point of this, is for me to kind of bring the conversation down to layman's terms sometimes.
So speaking of education, I've got a few equestrian terms
Right.
that hopefully you can learn from.
So seeing if I've done my homework or not.
Yes.
Okay, copy.
Did you read my children's books? Because
You didn't send it to me, Pippa.
Oh, I'll bring them next time. Okay.
Escape
so
that one.
few horsey terms.
Okay.
One of them, or you got to say whether you think they're true or not.
Okay, whether it is a term or are you making it up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Windsucker.
There's no way that can be a real thing. A windsucker. Windsucker. Okay. It's so peculiar that it has to be real. But I'm trying to think what it could possibly mean. Okay, I'm going to say it's true. Yes.
It is true.
What?
It is true. It is when horses... Crib biting and windsucking. So crib biting is another one. So that comes together. So crib biting is when they sort of latch hold of maybe the top of a fence. The horses latch hold, with their teeth.
Yeah.
Or a top of a stable door. And then windsucking is when they swallow in air. So it's a
Is
sort
that
of...
not just called breathing?
No, it's swallowing
I've been
air.
windsucking
It's
for
like-
years.
So they gulp air in.
And that when they're exercising heavily.
No, not when they're exercising. It's when they're in a stable or in a field. They grab hold of a little bit of wood, and it's catchy. So if you have a horse that windsucks, you don't want to have youngsters too close to it because they can pick it up. They can pick the habit up. And it's something. It's called a vice. So you have to declare if you're selling a horse, you have to declare it's a
Vice.
windsucker.
Oh, really?
So, right, another one.
Windsucking. Okay.
Another one on that. It's not quite the same theme, but a high blower.
Are you trying to stitch me up here, Pip? These all sound quite double entendre-y. Okay, high blower. Okay, it's real.
It is real.
And it's blowing maybe when the horse gets fatigued. If you're blowing, maybe
It's
when you're
not so much when they get fatigued, but it is true.
yeah,
And if a horse is a high blower,
Yeah.
when it's working,
yeah.
when it is working, and particularly galloping or race horses are high blowers, it's when that you can hear them going, "Oh, I've got to do it."
No, go on, please.
So as they breathe, they blow out.
I had a girlfriend who
sort of
snored like that once. That's brought back memories. I have to put the pillow over her in the night.
I don't think that's a very good impression of a high blower, but you can basically
Yeah.
hear the horses blowing through their nostrils.
Okay.
A lawnmower.
I have come to terms with a lawnmower, as in the horsey world. Okay.
Yes.
A lawnmower.
Or we can do with lawnmower, a daisy cutter.
Okay. A daisy cutter, an animal that feeds very low to the ground. I don't know. A lawnmower, eating a lot of grass in its paddock. No, don't laugh like that's a ridiculous answer.
Okay. Well, as far as I'm aware,
It's not.
Well,
Sorry.
a lawnmower actually it's something that it's a term where
It cuts the grass.
it's the sort of non-horsey husband or boyfriend or father that sort of calls the wife's horse or
Okay, great.
the
So I
kids'
could,
ponies. Oh, they're nothing but lawnmowers.
fine. So that makes sense.
And
why I
the
would have gone that
daisy
direction.
cutter, a daisy cutter is a horse that moves with quite a straight leg, long stride, straight leg,
kind of clips the.
as though they're cutting, the way they're moving, they could cut the daisies.
I think I get half a point for that.
So which one's true?
Oh, the lawnmower's fake. Daisy cutter's real.
Yeah, you're right there.
That makes more sense to me.
Lawnmower is fake.
Although I could probably coin that term and I could make myself a lawnmower.
Time to bring on this week's guest. It's a real honour to have her here. I'm intrigued to find out more about her world. I do know her. I've met her several times, but I don't know her well. But I know of her name. She's been incredibly successful from the world of Paralympians. She is none other than Natasha Baker. She's won 6 Paralympic gold medals and 2 silvers.
There's a lot of accolades. And don't forget, 1 World Championship gold medal and 5 European Championship gold medals. So very, very, very successful rider. She is a huge advocate for changing the perception of disability in sports, and she's built a very successful career as a commentator in dressage.
Let's talk horse with Natasha. Welcome, Natasha. It's really great that you're on this podcast. We're dying to learn a little bit more about your world. We introduced you, the amazing accomplishments you've had and the successes you've had. But first of all, we'd like you to take us back at the beginning, the start of your journey and your love of horses.
Well, thanks for having me, first and foremost. It's great to be here. Yeah, it all came from my mum. I always blame it on her, but yeah, she was horsey. She was plopped on a horse before she could walk and talk, and I was brought up on the family farm, and so horses have always been a very natural thing for me. Again, I was plonked in a basket saddle before I could walk and talk as well.
Sorry.
And so, yeah, I just literally stepped outside my front door and horses and ponies have been there for me. And I just had that passion for it from day one. I contracted my disability when I was 14 months old. And so obviously that kind of turned my parents' world upside down. And they're super positive people, and I think that's kind of come out in me, but they never wanted to let my disability hold me back. And so they've never been pushy parents. They never pushed me to get into riding or to take it up professionally. And so I did lots of other things growing up. I used to play the piano, play the violin really badly. But I did brownies. I also swam competitively as well. But riding was just always there and was my first love and my first passion. And then it was really the Sydney Games, watching it in 2000. It was the first time that Paralympic dressage had ever been on TV. And I saw the riders out there, especially Lee Pearson, and was like, well, you know, if they can do it, then there's no reason why I can't do that. And so the sassy 10-year-old announced to her parents that I was going to win a Paralympic gold medal one day. And yeah,
Look at me now.
Yeah. And that was really where it all started. That was
Amazing.
the dream.
So you certainly took the harder option. I mean, probably playing a violin or a musical instrument would have been slightly easier than...
I don't know, you didn't hear me, Pippa. It was dreadful.
We got a violin here.
But full credit, because you must have, you know, been up against quite a lot of challenges throughout your childhood, but obviously, you know, having contracted, what was it you said?
Transverse myelitis.
That's right. Which just basically to the listeners out there, just explain very briefly what effect that has had on you.
So I'm lucky that it's affected the lower part of my spine. So we think it's about L2, and basically all of the nerves in that section across my spine swelled up and got permanently damaged. So people that get TM can make a full recovery, but other times in my situation, the nerves are permanently damaged. So I was actually unable to walk for about 3 years. I had to have some really intense physiotherapy. Started to walk with a frame. So that went around my back and I used to hold on and drag it behind me to give me the stability, and then slowly went to walking sticks. And I still rely on a wheelchair or a scooter to get me around, you know, especially long distances. But I can, you know, do my best on the sticks and kind of potter around. And, you know, I've always been a really positive person and want to do the best that I can. And so taken my recovery really seriously, and I still go to physio all of the time to try and improve and make myself the best version of me that I can be.
Amazing. And just so from your journey of kind of discovering the horse world and kind of adapting to the horse world, for lack of a better word, you know, how does that journey start? Obviously you've achieved so much with your career now, but how do you first start out, you know, after you'd kind of, you know, had this happen to you? And was there quite a big barrier to entry, or was it something that kind of just felt quite normal for you at the time?
So my mum never really had a horse or a pony that was suitable for me at home. So I used to go out and groom the ponies at home, but they weren't really suitable for me to ride as a beginner. And so we went down the normal route of going to a riding school, but it was quite frustrating because they didn't really have any adaptations that would suit me for my disability. So like the instructors didn't really know how to adapt to the lesson. I was in a group lesson. The ponies obviously didn't understand that I can't use my legs at all. And so I can't kick. And so I'd get on sometimes and they literally wouldn't move. And it was actually my physio at school that recommended the RDA to me when I was 8. And I got put on a very long waiting list to start riding at the RDA. And that's really what changed my riding life back then. And, you know, going into an environment where I was surrounded by other children and adults that had different disabilities, and having instructors that understood the differences and the challenges that I might face, and riding ponies that understood that I wouldn't be able to kick and that I had to use my voice to get them going forward. That was just a massive, massive game changer for me. And that's really then what I guess put me on the map. And then I met the Paralympians when they came home from Sydney, and I was talent spotted a year later, and kind of that's what got the ball rolling.
So what age was that you were talent spotted?
I was 10.
Amazing.
Yeah, 10 or 11.
I will just say that when I was very, very little, I have very early memories because my mother and a couple of her friends used to help out at the local Riding for Disabled, the RDA. And so right from when I was very tiny, I remember seeing the joy and the pleasure ponies and horses brought.
Absolutely. They don't judge. And I think that's the most special thing about them. They don't know the difference between you and me. You know, they just see us as people, and people that love them and will take care of them. And I honestly feel like horses have this sixth sense. I honestly believe that they know that I have challenges and that I am not able-bodied, and they just have a wonderful ability to adapt to that. And yeah, they're just amazing. And I always find it so interesting when I go horse shopping and trying all these different horses. Some really don't work, and others you just instantly click with. And I think that's the same for able-bodied riders as well, but even more so for paras, because I've literally tried horses that have been whizzing round when, you know, the rider before has been on, and then I just cannot get them to move at all. And it's very humbling.
But I mean, I would second that, because I've seen some of our horses and my horses that you sort of think, oh, are they going to be suitable? And straight away, someone that maybe isn't quite experienced. This is good news for Tristan, because Tristan might be coming for a lesson with me.
Oh, can I be there?
Do you know what? You're not the first person to say they want to watch this.
Hopefully,
Bring everyone down.
If I put Tristan on one of my horses, hopefully they'll have a bit of sympathy and think, okay, this guy is a beginner. But I absolutely, horses know. I mean, I had a wonderful situation where I had a couple of young girls, and they were both visually impaired, and it was from Make-A-Wish Foundation, and they came to my yard, and they were only tiddly. They were sort of, I think, 7, 8 years old and 3 years old, and I opened the stable door of one of my horses, and he was a giant. He was a big horse, 17.2, and I promise you they couldn't see a lot, but he just knew. And this 3-year-old was literally put her arms around his leg and was feeling his leg. And I could read my horse, and I could tell that he was absolutely as quiet as, he was so quiet.
Yeah.
That's been a lot of people say that about horses.
But where it must be quite difficult for you, Natasha, and you must feel a little bit brave when you try that horse, and do you just slightly gauge how it is before? Because you don't want to get on something that actually really might not be suitable. So you must have to be very trusting to what the potential seller is.
Yeah. If I see something that I don't like, then there's absolutely no way that I would be getting on. I have probably been very brave in the past, and I think it's probably my mum that sits on the sidelines that's biting her fingernails off and pulling her hair out. But I would never also waste somebody's time. Like if I'm going to try a horse that clearly isn't suitable for me, then there's no point trying. But yeah, I am quite a brave rider, and I do just kind of throw myself into it. Because also, you never know if it is going to work. If you see something in that horse that you think, okay, it hasn't reached its full maximum yet. Maybe I could do something, sometimes it's worth a try. There's 3 things that I look for when I go and try a horse. They have to have the temperament first and foremost. Like I just said, I don't want to be bucked off. I mean, it's happened, but I don't want to make a habit of it. They've got to have the talent, because I want to be winning gold medals. I don't want to be 4th. They've got to have the trainability. They've got to be able to adapt. They've got to be able to pick up my way of riding quite quickly, or at least try to. And you can't be a gold medal winning horse without all 3 of those ingredients. And so the way I ride is I ride completely off of my voice. To be honest, I don't really know what I do with my body, because I can't feel from like here downwards. So I ride completely without stirrups. So I had them taken away when I was at the RDA, when I was, I think, 9. So I've done work without stirrups every single day since then. So pretty strong core.
You must get a sore bottom doing all that sitting drop.
It must be a very, very strong core.
Yeah,
Wow.
it is. And again, it's the way that you adapt. And, I've always done that. So that's what I'm used to. And, having a comfortable saddle definitely is a must. And I actually take my saddle when I go and try horses as well. So at least I know that I'm comfortable, and, we can put shims in and pads in to make the horse comfortable as well. But yeah, I train my horses completely off my voice. So if they've done a lot of lunging in the past, that is really, really helpful. And Lottie, my last horse that I took to Tokyo and Paris, it was great because I knew the lady that I was buying her from. And so she had a couple of weeks to prepare Lottie. So she just used loads of voice and in that couple of weeks to build up. So Lottie would hopefully know what I was talking about.
Voice, but you must do you click a bit, or so lots of I mean, I find it extraordinary how, because I love lunging, I love double lining my horses, and it is fascinating, and it really upsets me when I see and hear people lunging a horse and they're not using their voice.
I know,
because
what a waste.
How else do they communicate? And horses really understand the tone of your voice, and when you're dealing with young horses, you move over or forward, and they really respond to good boy, good girl, and just the tone. So,
and that can help you when you go into a massive championships like a Paralympic Games to help settle them as well. If they're feeling a little bit excited or a little bit apprehensive, to just say good boy. And I think, being a para rider, I have to have that next level of trust in my horses, because I'm sitting there, can only use half of my body. I'm going into a Paralympic Games, into a stadium with thousands of people watching me on a horse that, can't say to them, oh, by the way, mate, you're going into this. They have no idea. And so you have to have that trust in them, and they likewise have to trust you. And I've been super lucky with all of my horses in the past. I've had the time to build up that trust and that rapport with them, and take them into these amazing Paralympics and World Championships. And they've given everything to me and really tried their hardest. And I truly believe that they love their jobs.
It's a pretty good job to love. And you've had some serious success in these Paralympic Games as well. Obviously, London was your first, is that correct? 2 gold medals.
Yeah.
Out the bat.
Yeah.
Quite a good way to start an Olympic career.
Yeah, totally unexpected.
Well, I mean, clearly a lot of skill and amazing talent there. How did that then, you come into an Olympic Games, Paralympic Games, you've won 2 gold medals. Did everything change after that?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, my life completely changed after London. I went into it as the double European gold medalist, but still, I never expected to go at 22 years old to my first games, a home games, being a London girl as well. Like, it was just
casual 2 golds.
Yeah, it was just what dreams were made of. And like I broke 2 Paralympic records whilst I was there, and I just never expected it in a million years. And JP, the horse I was riding, Cabral, he loved it. Like he turned into a massive diva after that.
Well, quite rightly so.
I'm a Paralympic champion, and yeah, it totally changed my life. Like I got, invited to all these amazing parties afterwards. The Palace. I got an MBE, met the Queen. Went to Hello Magazine's birthday party where Rod Stewart was singing Happy Birthday. Like
unbelievable.
Oh my word.
Absolutely.
I never did anything like that. I did go to the Palace, and in fact, that's that. I mean, I haven't met you many times, but through
you met the Palace, did you?
Probably we
Bumped into each other in the hallway. Oh, hey.
But what I do, I think, what is remarkable is the success the Paralympics has had, and how much just since Sydney, how much it has grown. It is such a big thing.
You started off London 2012 with gold medals, and clearly that wasn't enough for you.
Never enough.
So 3 gold medals at Rio.
Yes.
2 more at Tokyo.
Yeah. 1 in Tokyo. And 2 silvers.
Some haul.
I mean, is there one which really stands out for you? Obviously, London was your first. Was that quite poignant? Or at what point do you feel like...
They're all different. Yeah. They're all so different. I think London was extra special. It was my first. It was a home games. Like, all games are special and they have something unique to offer. But I feel so fortunate that I had the opportunity to compete at home games. Not many athletes get that. Yeah. So that was extra special. I think Rio was amazing because it was me defending my title on the same horse. And I didn't have the easiest time with him out in Rio. He was quite a spooky horse, and he was an ex-eventer actually. And yeah, he was a little bit tricky. But so then, winning 3 gold medals was just amazing. Then obviously Tokyo, I had a different horse, got through COVID, and yeah, like it was kind of forming that new relationship with a new horse and winning individual silver and team gold. We didn't expect to win the team gold. So, doing that on a team of very young horses was very, very special. And then going into Paris, I was a new mum. And so coming back from having my little boy and then, going and winning 2 bronzes was just awesome. So they all have their own sentimental feeling about them, and their own...
And a story for each one.
How was it coming back from having your son?
Hard work. Really, really hard work. So we were on our honeymoon and I broached it with the now husband.
So what do you think?
Literally. I mean, he knew, and we both knew that we wanted children. But of course, when you're an athlete as well, and Paris was very much on my mind. And I said, we need to look at the timing, because if we
got medals to win.
Yeah, basically, if we want a baby, it's either before Paris or after Paris. And I was like, we've probably got about 3 or 4 months that we can try to give me enough time to come.
Come on, let's get going.
Pretty much. So we got back from honeymoon and we were like, right, okay, well, I had the World Championships first. So we wanted to get the World Championships out of the way. And then we were like, well, okay. So I actually rode at the World Championships unknowingly pregnant, wondered why I was so emotional. My God, I've never cried so much at a competition in my life. But obviously that explains why. And managed to fit Joshua in.
It's quite a good time schedule.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I'm very, very fortunate, and I know how fortunate I am. I've got lots of friends that have struggled falling pregnant. So I'm incredibly fortunate that everything just worked out perfectly to my time schedule. And then I had a C-section. It was an elective section. They think that I could have given birth naturally, but I I'm a control freak and I wanted a date and knew that he was coming out the sunroof. So, so that happened. And I was very, very naive, I think. I'd done lots of research about C-sections and recovery and everything. But I didn't factor in the fact that I had a physical disability. And so everybody else is like out of hospital in a day or two. I still wasn't up and walking within a day or two. So,
Wow.
you know, the recovery was very different to what I imagined. And I just thought, you know, oh, I'm going to bounce back. It'll be absolutely fine. I was advised to take 3 months out of the saddle after I'd had him by our team physio. And I was so fortunate through the whole pregnancy, the whole return, that I had so much support from the world-class system. They were amazing. And so, yeah, I got back in the saddle in August, trained through the winter, came back to international competition in May last year, won at the 3 internationals that I competed at, got selected for Paris, and then went. And I can't say that I was in like the shape of my life. I certainly wasn't, because I was also in a very fortunate position because I'd competed in 3 Paralympic Games before and achieved everything that I've ever wanted to in my lifetime and my career. I wanted to make sure that I got the best balance that I could. And so I was very, very open with my manager, and I was like, look, I want to be the absolute best mum that I can, and I don't want to miss anything from his first year because I'm never going to get that back. But also I want the best shot that I can of going to Paris and doing well. And so, yeah, I think I managed the balance quite well. I certainly wasn't physically as fit or where I really ideally wanted to be in Paris if it hadn't have been for him. But like my life was
Sounds
just
like a quite
so
good balance.
fulfilled. Yeah.
Mate. So what's more challenging then, for having a newborn child to raise, or training a horse to Olympic standard? Because you've done both.
About the same. About the same. I mean, I probably get more back from the horse. I mean, he's starting to talk now, so that's really lovely. But yeah, it's there's a lot of parallels.
Yeah?
You know, they like routine. Yeah, they like routine. My mum,
They're both kept in the stable.
yeah,
Consistency.
exactly. Scoop of nuts. but yeah, it is very, very similar. And my mum, I always laughed when she said, because my mum never had any experience. We're not a big family, so my mum never experienced really bringing up a child. So she's like, I brought you up like I would have done a foal. And, you know, and I think I turned out okay. Yeah. So, you know, I kind of had the same thing. And I think, you know, when you're working with horses, you have to find a way to work around them. Lots of, you know, navigational and it's different, and they can't communicate back in the conventional way. So you have to be very good at reading them, and so it's the same with a baby.
Yeah. Recognizing when there's an issue, or whether it's an issue, or is that cry they're in
this is good advice.
Wanting, needing, or a cry for attention, or
so I need to come
something's
spend some
really
time
wrong
with you and your horses before I think about having a child.
There you go. It's
a good way to ease yourself into it.
But I think also I'm very relaxed. I'm very, very laid back. And I think that's helped as well. Yeah. And, you know, I think also being horsewoman, but also being a disabled person, you have to be adaptable and you have to be flexible and work out things. And that's the other thing I found when I was pregnant, is I looked up online and I could see all of this information about parents that had children that had developed disabilities or were born with a disability. And obviously I have my mum and dad's expertise with that, but I couldn't really find any information about disabled people that had had children. And I was like, how the hell am I going to do this? Because like I've got one hand with a walking stick, you know, my balance on my feet isn't great. How am I going to manage with a baby? But again, you just find ways of doing it, the same as I've had to do with my riding. Exactly. You just have to make it work.
So now you've got your son. Paris is out the way.
Yeah.
What's next for you?
Well, haven't really told too many people yet, but you may as well know, I'm actually expecting a second child. So I'm either 17 or 18 weeks, and very, very excited for expanding the family, and it's fitted in very well again around the games.
That's
Congratulations.
wonderful
That's huge.
news.
Thank you
Many
so much.
congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's going to be another challenge, juggling too, but where there's a will, there's a way.
I'd love to see your trophy cabinet. I'd love to see both your trophy cabinets. I feel so
Well, mine
ridiculous.
is certainly I haven't won.
It's
as
amazing.
many.
I
My
mean-
medals are in socks.
Her medal hall is.
Why are they socks?
They're in socks
Is that how you
because
keep gold safe?
Well, so at the moment, I'm taking my Paris medals to a lot of different places.
Yeah.
And the boxes are huge, and so you can't carry them.
Oh, no,
and
what a problem to have.
I know, it's
so
it is a
medals.
first world problem, isn't
It's
it?
an amazing problem. I love it.
So yeah, they live in clean socks.
Hopefully nice socks, yeah,
in
like
my
cashmere or
handbag.
something,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, no, the
Quite reserved.
Adidas.
So have you
but-
framed have you framed your London ones?
No.
Oh,
I
you
need to.
They're in
I
the
really,
sock
really
drawer.
need to. But again, I still take them out because I think that's what is so lovely
People wanna see them,
about
don't they?
exactly.
Yeah.
People want to feel them, they want to hold them, they want to wear them, and I think that is so lovely to be able to pass that on to people. And I know I was inspired by holding the Sydney Games medals, so I want other people to feel that.
Yeah.
And that's
it's really nice.
really another key role that you've taken on is you do quite a bit of an inspirational speaking now.
Yeah.
And I think that is a wonderful thing to offer, and I think you'll be giving opportunities and youngsters will hopefully absolutely be inspired by you and
Hopefully.
follow in your footsteps. And so obviously you're much more involved now in the public speaking world. I know that
Yeah.
so how did you get into the public speaking and the commentary?
So public speaking, I was thrown into the deep end a little bit with that. It was before London 2012. I was very fortunate to be sponsored by a big energy company, and they said, would you like to come and speak to 20 employees about your journey so far? And I was like, yeah, sure, that sounds easy. Typo in the email,
There's a
it
zero
was
missing.
200.
I knew there'd be a zero. It's
So
the best way to get you there.
Yeah, I walked into the room and it was this amazing debating chamber. It was huge, and the spotlights were on, and I immediately turned around, and luckily my mum was there, and she spun me back and shoved me forward. In you go. And once I started, I mean, you can probably tell once I start talking, it's quite difficult for me to shut up, especially
Your
when I'm
passion,
passionate.
yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, I kind of stumbled across it, and I just love telling my story. Nobody knows my story better than me. So, and now obviously my story has grown so much over the years. And I just feel like I was so inspired when I was 10 years old. And if I can inspire somebody else to follow their dreams, maybe it is
Love that.
dressage, maybe it's to be an artist, whatever it is that they want to be. I was always told that I can do anything I want to. It may not be in the conventional way, but it'll be in the Natasha way. And so I hopefully have passed that message on to lots of other people and hopefully inspired them to go and follow their dreams and their ambitions and know that, not everything's going to be smooth sailing, but with enough work and determination, you can get there in the end. And that's why I haven't framed my medals, because I do love being able to take them along with me and people be able to feel and hold that. And then again, the commentary was a bit kind of by accident, I guess. In 2017, I had the worst year of my career. I lost JP Cabral to a tragic accident, and I didn't have a horse that was ready to compete at that year's European Championships. And I was a bit of a loss, really. And I said to my agent, I was like, is there any way that I can be involved in the Europeans at all? I just want to feel it and to be there with my friends. And so he got me a job commentating, and thank goodness he did, because the lovely Rupert Bell was commentating, but he had no idea about dressage. So I was the colour and hopefully, added a little bit extra to it. And the guys that were producing the commentary were like, you know,
You're
do you
good at
want
this.
to do a bit more of it? And so I was invited to do the World Cup dressage, so in able-bodied dressage, like we saw at London International. So I do that now. And I was just colour at the time. So I was, you know, the expert, if you like. I'm not sure I could quite call myself that at that stage. But I was providing the expert commentary. And then COVID hit and they didn't have enough budget to be able to afford 2 commentators. So now I do it all myself. So learning the names of the riders is
the foreign
challenging.
riders and the pronunciations of some of the horses.
I know. Like literally, I'm very lucky. I've got a friend in
Well, that's the
Holland.
most challenging part. I think you guys are doing quite well.
I've got a few friends dotted around the world, so I voice message them or send them a picture of the name, and
How do
they
you
voice
pronounce
note
this?
me back saying, "How do I say this?" I love it. I love talking about my sport, and I enjoy watching dressage. So it's like the perfect job for me. And I actually hate coaching, so it's fitted that perfectly. It's what I love doing.
You've really shown to us, you know, the challenges that you've been up against, but how amazingly well you've overcome those challenges. And I think you are a really exceptional example to anyone, you know,
Thank
any
you.
of us that are listening. And it's really, really been a pleasure having you on this pod. Thank you so, so much
I've loved
Yeah,
it.
it's been
Thank you.
for coming.
What a fantastic episode. Amazing to hear from Natasha and all of her very inspiring stories. I think we've got a lot to take away from that.
I think it was absolutely fascinating to hear the challenges that she's been up against physically, but just shows that people with these disabilities absolutely can have a career and have a life with horses and just achieve so much on the world stage.
Absolutely.
If you've loved us talking horse, why not join our equestrian community?
And we'd absolutely love to hear from you. So we are in all the usual places: TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, all those fun things. But also, if you have any questions, anecdotes or stories, please email us.
Our email is info@talk-horse.com. Do tell us your stories.
So please do subscribe and join in the conversation because we have so much more horse talk to share with you. Goodbye.
Bye.